I'll just start off by giving you a quick overview of what we're going to cover, and so we'll just have a little look at the qualification structure, a little bit of the of our location, where we're based, some success stories in terms of students, potential progression routes coming out of our programs. They include opportunities in the US collegiate golf pathway, and then just some more detail on what you can expect in terms of being a student or a student athlete, as we like to call it. Okay, so that's the plan. If there was something you were wanting to discuss that's out with that, then no problem at all. You get some opportunity to do that towards the end. Location wise, so we're in North East Fife. You can see Cooper circled there. Probably our location is most notable in terms of its proximity to St Andrews. However, Fife, if you don't know it, is full of golf courses, and we regularly access a good number of them. Okay, so there is, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head the exact number of golf courses, but certainly location-wise, we're right in the middle of a really vibrant kind of golfing community. At the moment, we also own our own golf course facility that we use. So today, for example, the students were up there playing and practicing on Elmwood Golf Course. The likelihood is that in the coming years we'll be making more use of local facilities, and like I say, there's plenty of them to access. We have two qualifications available at the moment, an HNC and an HND in professional golf. The HNC is effectively your level 7, your first year of university type of level, and if you're successful in the HNC, you can progress on to do the HND. Okay, but you have to start on the HNC first of all. You can sign up for a 2-year HND, but effectively you're still doing the first year as an HNC, and successful completion is needed to go on to the HND. So in terms of the key aims of the qualification, it is really to try and get people upskilled and confident enough to go and work in the golf industry. And over the last, we'll look at some of the alumni as we go on, but in the last kind of 10 or 15 years, we've placed upwards of 100 people now into various jobs in the industry, some very, very high profile, and there's a real clear progression out of our programs into meaningful employment, to such an extent that we regularly get contacted by employers directly asking us if they could put us in touch with our top 3 or 4 students, because they know that coming out of the programs that people are going to have certain skills and attributes that essentially saves the employer having to do that work with them. Okay, so there's a real connection with industry as well. In terms of entry requirements, you can see we look for 2 hires at C or above, or an NC in a relevant subject. It's desirable but not essential to have a single figure handicap. We should probably update that now, because the profile of our student has changed somewhat over the last few years, and it's much broader. We have everything nowadays from a scratch golfer up to a 20 handicapper, because not everybody wants to necessarily go on and be a professional golfer or coach professionally. There's lots and lots of other jobs that you might go into, and we've kind of tried to reflect that a little bit more and open up our criteria a little bit. If you don't meet those requirements, so sometimes we have some students who have relevant post experience, if you like, where they've been out working in industry, didn't perhaps pick up the qualifications they needed whilst at school, but given their experience and what they've been doing, we can take it on a case-to-case basis. Okay, so if you make an application and the computer says no, then you can always get in touch with us directly and tell us a little bit about your story and your background, and there's every chance we can get you on the course. Typical week, so I've got some timetables I'm going to show you in a little second, just to kind of give you a little flavour of what that looks like. Broadly speaking, it's a combination of classes and practical golf activities, an opportunity to work on and develop your own game, be parts of teams, which we'll look at, but also upskill you in areas such as coaching and club repairs. But I'm preempting a few slides down the line here, so I'll just show you a typical HNC type of block. So blocks are now delivered in 3 12-week blocks, and you can see here on a Monday morning. So this kind of reflects the timetable that we have at the moment. Might potentially a little bit of directed or self-learning or golf practice. So depending on where you are with your studies, if you're nicely up to date with everything and you've got nothing outstanding, then you might use that time to go and work on your game. And then in the afternoon, we typically try and get together as a group and do some performance training, where we'll, depending on the numbers, divide you into relevant groups and set up a training program for you. So again, an opportunity for you to be working on your own game. Tuesday morning, as it stands, is a golf coaching unit. So golf coaching an introduction and golf coaching intermediate in the afternoon. And these are just units really trying to get you up to speed with how to coach groups and individuals, and groups and individuals of varying abilities. Now, you might be listening to this and thinking, well, I've got absolutely no interest in golf coaching. I mean, what we would say to that is that if you're going to work in the sector in some respect, and potentially you've got ambitions of going on to be a golf manager or director of golf, then you're going to need to have a little bit of insight and background to all areas of an operation. So it's a fairly light touch to begin with the introduction aspect of things, and then it gets into a little bit more detail and depth as it goes on. Wednesday morning, principles and practices of selling. Pretty self-explanatory, just in terms of various different things in order to be able to work in the kind of sales aspect of the industry. Wednesday afternoon, we normally play an Order of Merit, which is a kind of inter-college type of event, and from those events we select teams and various other activities go on as well. If, for example, it says their individual golf program, so you could also be spending some time working on your own stuff. The other ones, again, pretty self-explanatory: first aid, golf ops. Friday morning, not compulsory, but we try and get the group together to do a little bit more training. And what you'll typically find is that you're amongst people who are very, very like-minded. Obviously, they like golf and they like practicing and they like playing. So there is really no lack of opportunity in terms of being able to drive your own game and your own ability and standard. Okay, the HND timetable. So if you've progressed on to do an HND, fairly similar structure. You can see the Monday set up the same, into Tuesday, looking at some of the sports science subjects. So it just so happens on this particular block it's a bit more sciencey, so sports mechanics, psychology, a little bit of research in there, and again the more advanced coaching modules on the Thursday. There's really, I would say, 4 main areas. So whilst this particular block looks like it's heavily weighted towards the sports science coaching side of things, it probably is, and you can also see there that it's kind of sitting September through to December. So there's a good chance that the weather's not quite all that great. So we'll do some of the more theoretical stuff on during those kind of blocks. But yeah, the 4 main areas you'll have is the science subjects, the coaching subjects, the management subjects, and also equipment technology. Okay, so that would be the four key areas that the timetables are mapped to. And like I say, your ambition might be to work as a director of golf or a golf operations manager, and you'll find stuff in there that also applies. So it's a kind of broad sweeping overview of all the different aspects of the golf industry. Equipment technology, just mentioned that. Again, it's a highly sought after skill from employers, so I'm just going to kind of highlight that. If an employer phones us up and we've got students who are really excelling in this particular area, then because it's such a big part of a golf operation nowadays, then those individuals tend to be fairly highly employable. So we'll take you through some teaching and learning in these particular areas, how to repair golf clubs, how to, for example, reshaft them, regrip them, finish them off properly, and all the other stuff that goes along with that, as well as learning how to use different equipment. Nutrition for golf, so that would sit within the sports science type of things. And again, this is just a kind of pluck some out to give you an idea of, just a kind of flavour of what we're doing. So I'm not going to go through all your different macro and micronutrients and all of that. This is actually Gary's stuff, my colleague. So he teaches on some of the more sciencey stuff. But just as an overview of that, trying to understand how nutrition relates to performance. Now that could be your own performance, or it could be with somebody who you're working with. So if you're a coach, nowadays the highest level coaches out there will have an understanding, a fairly high level understanding actually of how a player goes about fueling themselves properly, both in tournament and out of tournament, and pre-round and also post-round in terms of recovery. And the same would go for subject areas like strength and conditioning. Now we'll just come back onto that. I think that's where we are here now. Yep, so just up here. So another aspect of what we would do now, there's a dual approach here, because what we like to do, whilst anatomy and physiology and strength and conditioning are subject areas within the curriculum, and we do also like to support you in your own development in that respect. It's such a big part of the modern game, the ability to generate power to hit the golf ball far, makes the golf course shorter, and increases your potential to score better. Okay, of course, it's also part of healthy lifestyle choices along with nutrition and just being fitter generally. So you'll both get an understanding of that from an applied research point of view, and we are also there to support you in terms of your own program. Okay, so if you're an active golfer, if you follow the golf scene, you'll know that all the top players now around the world are very focused on making themselves fitter, faster, stronger, because it supports what they're trying to do on the golf course, and also their lifestyle prevents injury, all of these kind of positive outcomes. And again, if you decide to go and work in as a coach, if you've got a working knowledge of these areas, then you'll be able to guide your player with a little bit more accuracy. Now, if you decide not to focus in on these particular areas in your future career, then at least you've got an insight and potentially could hold a conversation at a fairly high level in these areas if need be. Going to talk a little bit then about progression routes. I think it's the aspect of what we do that we're probably most proud of over the years in terms of the successful progression through our courses to meaningful destinations. Okay, so once you've come through the HNC and HND in professional golf, there's some universities will allow you into year 3 of their program, because essentially you've covered level 1 and year 1 and year 2. So Abertay, we've got a strong partnership with them, and a good history of progressing people onto Abertay to do various programs. They've got sports management, sports development, sports coaching, sports science degrees. Okay, so you might decide to go on and upskill yourself in that respect. I would say that we typically do encourage that kind of route, because the people who work in the golf industry nowadays are highly qualified and highly educated, typically to degree level. So it's advisable to try and give yourself that kind of start in the industry. However, some people will go straight into PGA trainee positions, and again, it's a pretty desirable aspect of things. UHI is now online now as well, in terms of being available. So they have a professional golf degree that leads into the PGA training. Now, typically our graduates can only access year 2 to that, because there's some nuanced differences between the curriculum that they want you to go back and pick up that you haven't picked up, because it's so vocational and specific in nature. It's not simply a case of, well, you can just come into year 3 here. Actually, you've missed some stuff that they would want you to have. So they at the moment are only offering year 2 progression. for our students. But you could go into year 2 from the HNC. Okay, so it's well worth thinking about, you know, do I really want to hang about and do an HND? If I know that my progression ambition is to go to UHI, then you might want to think about that. I know we've got a couple of students at the moment who are on the HNC who are thinking about that particular route. Okay, we've had a good number of students going off to the States to do golf scholarships. So if you think you're off that kind of level, you know, if you're kind of 15, 16 years old and you're maybe playing around scratch or something like that, then you're probably in the kind of area where you would gain some interest from the college programs that run in the States. Very competitive, higher level of golf, and we've probably had upward of 20 students now start on our program and go out and do scholarships in the States. Some of them are still out there. Employment in golf operations, so in the wider context, golf ops and golf management. If you're not looking at going into the PGA training, then there's other good opportunities in the golf operations side of things, both locally and internationally. Okay, and there is the potential, in fact, for the approval to go ahead and develop a degree. And it says Professional Golf Studies. That's very much a working title, but in the next 6 months we'll know more about that. But we can say pretty confidently that there will be degree progression available in the future, probably in 2025. Okay, some of the areas where we now have qualified PGA pros who started their career with us. Okay, in terms of they're now working in these kind of facilities and they're PGA qualified, so you can see there's some pretty prestigious facilities there. Okay, and a couple of examples over there globally. We've got people working for the R&A, for the Ryder Cup. We've actually got Rachel McQueen, who's named there. She's now working in a very high profile position with Live Golf. Okay, so if you've been following the developments with what's going on with the PGA Tour in America, you'll know all about that. So yeah, again, we're pretty proud of the fact that we have this kind of alumni now that are well placed and very supportive, typically, of what we're doing. Okay, some of them on the picture here. You see Tom Ogilvie, who's in Dubai working at the Pete Cowan Academy. I mentioned that with people working in the R&A, so we've got Katie Reid and also Chris Lowe. In fact, it's Mr. and Mrs. Lowe now, so I think that needs to get changed to Katie Lowe. We've not only got students who have married each other, we've also got students who have married each other and have children now. We've been doing it that long. Fraser Hughes up there went out to the States, golf scholarship, very high level player. As is Kieran Moore, as you see down there, who's a golf ops supervisor at Dumbarton Links. And again, all of these students came to us as pretty young individuals, not quite sure what they wanted to do with their career, and were able, through the kind of broad curriculum, to get a bit of focus and specialise in what they wanted to do. Another alumni there, so Stuart Waters is now the PGA head pro at Dumbarton Links. Dumbarton is a fairly new course if you're not familiar with it, but it's one of Scotland's prestige venues. And Stuart would be probably our first graduate to become a head pro. Okay, maybe five years ago, somewhere around that. So we've seen that journey that students have been on, from being young people into trainees, into being qualified, and now they're heading up operations of their own. Mentioned US progression opportunities, so you would have to be looking at that if you've got some sort of resume that suggests that you're on a playing trajectory in the game. Okay, so you've maybe performed quite well in some national events. You might be part of a national or a development squad. You know, you're probably in and around scratch kind of handicap, and it's certainly something to think about if you're thinking about trying to progress yourself as a player, because you're going to find better players in the States, better facilities, and obviously a better climate, and all of these things you know, could help you develop your game. Some student successes, as I said earlier, we've had a very high level golfer come through the programme. However, you don't have to be a high level golfer, as I mentioned earlier, but probably the kind of biggest achievement would be Lorna McClyment recently, who won the RNA Scholars event, okay, which is a big international event that brings together all the funded golfers that are part of the RNA Scholarship Programme. So if you're playing off 2 or better as a female, or scratches or better as a male, and you're part of a higher education establishment, then there's a good chance the RNA will give you some support to help you with tournaments, travel, equipment, coaching, all of these kind of things. And Lorna won the main event. Okay, very, very good player. She's played in the Palmer Cup twice, which is effectively the amateur version of the Ryder Cup, if you like. Okay, so she's been selected into that, won numerous international events, and very much on a trajectory to be a tour player in the future. Some of the things that we do locally, we've got the Kingaret Hickory golf course just up the road from us, so we have a kind of annual event up there where students get the opportunity to play with golf clubs that are a couple of centuries old, and golf balls that perform the same way as they did back there. And again, it's just part of the heritage of the game and part of the student experience. We go out to the Dunhill Cup every year, so again, that's in St Andrews, close proximity to us. There's the opportunity to work there, and we've got various contacts at a high level where we get industry talks and behind the scenes to have a little look at how a golf facility works, how a golf tournament works. We've also got a caddying partnership with Kings Barnes, okay, so a fairly lucrative caddying partnership with the individuals who take part in it. So we swing around typically about this time of year, and any students who are interested in doing some caddying over the summer, then we put them in touch with Kings Barnes. You get trained appropriately, you get your kit, and you get the opportunity to be a caddy at Kings Barnes. And we've got a handful of students now who that's what they do with their career. It's typically quite lucrative, particularly in the summer months, obviously. The opportunity to go abroad and caddy. A lot of facilities in Scotland have partner facilities elsewhere, and as I say, some students have just kind of enjoyed that lifestyle and have decided that's what they want to do with their career. So we play also from a performance point of view. We play in two golf leagues typically, okay, the Intercollegiate Tour and the British Colleges, and that's an opportunity for students to travel, to get on the road, to play other colleges and universities around the UK, and it typically culminates in a final around April-May time, and we've had some relative success in those events over the years, and you qualify for those teams via our internal qualifying events. As I say, we run them on a Wednesday. Okay, I've kind of flown through that. Okay, and if there's anything that you're not sure about, then just drop us a message and we can reply to you via email, or we can arrange a call, or we can arrange a visit if you want to come and speak to us in person. So more than welcome to do that.